Sorry about that, guys. All right. So BlackRock strikes a $23 billion deal for the Panama Canal under America's control. Carry on. I will carry on the best I can. I'm a wayward son. I try not to be wayward. Yeah. Wow. That was wow. Yeah, I agree. Okay. And so this is one of the things that we've been watching for regarding the whole Trump stuff. As we know, he wants to basically establish the Technate from Technocracy Inc., and that includes getting Greenland, Mexico, Canada, and the Panama Canal. And so the best start was probably trying to get the Panama Canal back. And so through BlackRock, they managed to do this. Now, this is one of those things that seems to be misconstrued out there regarding all this, is the idea that BlackRock is not connected to Trump, and that is a fallacy. That is false. They have done many deals back in the day. Larry Fink, who is the head guy of BlackRock, was actually in the running to become the treasury under the Trump administration. Larry Fink and BlackRock handle many of Trump's financial ventures. He's done tons of investment through BlackRock and owns many different deals through them. They are good friends, and they've been good friends for a very long time. And one of the things that we have been watching and we've been warning about has to do with the fact of fascism, this neo-feudalistic technocracy, and utilizing fascism in order to do it, which is the mixing of government and private corporations together, so eloquently explained to us by Mussolini back in the day. Or corporatism is something that you might know it as well. And so we've been noticing that there has been a massive shift with the Trump administration into private power, into corporations, and giving them the ability to lead. Because as we know, corporations of today are basically more powerful than governments are. Governments need corporations much more than corporations need governments, and the governments know that. They want to make that shift because it's through privatization of these things that allows them to have more access to our data, have more access to controlling us, and having more access to cut through governmental red tape and just do things. And so this is the case of Trump going to BlackRock and saying, hey, buy this for us. And they did it. If you guys don't believe me on that, Larry Fink phoned Trump directly to pitch BlackRock's Panama deal. This is directly involved with getting everything going for this purchase. So Donald Trump promised on day one to seize the Panama Canal. He says, we're taking it back, declared in his inaugural address. Within weeks, Wall Street billionaire Larry Fink was on the line with the White House. His pitch: Fink's investment company, BlackRock Inc., was interested in buying the ports on either side of the waterway, shifting them into American hands, according to people familiar with the discussion. And with that, there would be no need to have the U.S. take the century-old canal by force. So we've been watching this quote-unquote theater, this quote-unquote joking about everything going on, about him trying to take over the different countries and basically joining them together. And so we've talked a lot about this in the past regarding, we've seen the map of oh man, I can't remember the big group. Of course, my head is not working properly, but we've seen the 10 region map that has come out from the globalist group, Club of Rome. There we go. Got it. Club of Rome. And then we've also seen, going back to the Technate, the technocracy, about forming these things together and utilizing energy as the main form of money. If you guys go back and read through the history, which of course the Technate was led by Elon Musk's grandfather, so imagine that, has to do with basically making it so energy has become the currency, and there's no need for money anymore. It's run by independent technocrats that aren't connected to governments. Politicians aren't allowed to run these things. And so we're kind of seeing a mashing of the Technate as well as the Club of Rome 10 regions of what's going on. And we're seeing it happen, and Trump has been talking about it. Many people have declared that he's only joking. Again, the whole excuse thing, if Biden came out and said this, oh, well, he's only joking. No, he'd be getting ripped ripped a new one for it. And so he's getting the Panama Canal, and he's doing it through the private groups. Now, again, this has to do with the fascism that the Trump administration is putting forward when it comes to this, because he's teaming up with private corporations. We see Palantir, we see Endural, we see OpenAI, we see Microsoft, we see Google, we see the different Silicon Valley groups that are all connected to people like Mark Andreessen and so on and so forth. And he's using these private companies, he's using these private corporations to his advantage to get all this. That's why we see things like Elon Musk and Doge and that whole situation regarding that, because it allows him to go in, remove people, gain access to information, and install the new AI Big Daddy governance system that's coming in with this. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is because one of the big things that's been falsely applauded, and I use the word false, or the phrase falsely applauded for a reason, has to do with the quote-unquote dismantling of the USAID program. Well, the problem with that, and we saw it right off the bat, right off the skinny, was it wasn't being dismantled. It wasn't being removed. It wasn't being destroyed. It was simply being folded in and shifted into the State Department that's going on, and it's still headed up by Marco Rubio. And what they're trying to do, because they're trying to privatize everything, is they're basically making the USAID program a private equity and investor owned program. And what I mean by that is they have now shifted this to a group that's called the DFC, or the International Development Finance Corporation. And so the DFC was established during Trump's first administration. You're noticing that a lot of the things that Trump set up in the first administration are now becoming active in this one, almost like it was planned that way. Almost like it was planned that way. Because if we actually look at what happened and we understand the Hegelian dialectic system, we understand that this was the plan all along. You had Trump go in there on his first administration. He didn't drain the swamp. He didn't fix anything. He didn't arrest the bad guys. No, he went in and established certain things that he wanted to get done. He went in and established the contracts with Palantir, getting us hooked up with that whole system, and that included the 2018 contract, which basically allowed the AI system to go into the IRS. Now you're watching all the IRS agents that are about to get canned, but they're all going to get replaced by that AI system that was already installed. You see all the contracts that Trump made with Gavi and the Bill Gates Foundation. Did all that. You saw things like the Safe Home program, which eventually became the DEEP program, which had to do with AI surveillance and biometric scans of all the people who live here. You saw different things when it comes to the DFC now, of what we got going on with this, which is to replace the USAID. There's tons of these contracts and programs that were set up during the first administration. Then you bring in Biden, and this is where the main psyop, the main deception, Hegelian dialectic deception comes forward, where they stole the election, and then Biden gets to sit there as, the ice cream eating dummy that can't think for himself, can't tie his own shoes, and starts unleashing just massive, extensive, extreme evil all across the country. And so everybody, including the leftists and the Democrats and those who previously opposed Donald Trump, started jumping ship because of how bad it got, all jumping over to Trump. And then Trump steps in to save the day. How is he doing it? By installing fascism, by installing technocracy, by installing feudalism, by installing all of the programs and the systems that he established back in his first administration. And everybody is going to eat it up. Everybody is going to accept it. Everybody's going to seal clap for it because it's not the other guy. The problem is everybody's so excited for the very same stuff that they have been opposed for their entire lives. but they're willing to accept it, playing right into the Hegelian dialectic. And then they'll sit there and tell you that they're not deceived and we're the morons for trying to call out what's been done. It's fascinating how that works. So the DFC was established during his first administration. And basically, it's there to fill the role of the USAID program. But the problem, or not the problem, but the thing that they're doing with it is they're shifting it to private. I can't say this word, man. Privatization by allowing investors, Wall Street, hedge funds, and equity groups to now own the very same programs that they'll be financing. The billionaires get richer. That's what's going on. And everything will be owned by a private group. So first thing we got to point out on this is the USAID's budget was $40 billion. The DFC's current budget is $60 billion. And that cap is about to go up to $120 billion. So we've got this situation now where they're about to blow the top off of the budget for the USAID program. And now they're going to spend that much, over twice as much, but now it's going to be access for the private companies to own all of the things that they're going to be investing in. Anybody already seeing a problem with this? Anybody already seeing the fascist underlying foundation of what this is going to be? So basically, it's the same foreign investment, but this time, banks, private investment companies, hedge funds, and private equity groups will now make money off of these things. This is kind of the same situation I've talked about when it comes to how they're trying to finance the environment, trying to finance natural resources, trying to make it so private organizations can make money off of things like rivers, forests, and so on and so forth, basically charging us access to our natural environments around us. This is kind of the next step of making that happen. And so this is what they call mobilizing private capital. And this was a dominant agenda within the USAID program. Nobody's talking about it, but it was actually a dominant agenda within the USAID program. And it has promoted the very same thing that Trump's administration and the DFC are doing was promoted by none other than the World Bank and the United Nations. But I thought Trump was against the globalists and he wasn't going to do any of the globalist agenda. No, he's taking it, advancing it, bringing it into the 21st century while throwing some Reese's peanut butter cups at everybody's saying, look, I'm doing good stuff. No, he's not. He's virtue signaling to make you clap for the very same thing that you've been opposed of for years. He's advancing it further. He's taking it further. It's built upon a principle called de-risking, which switches public development from state to private corporations. So basically right now, when we have infrastructure being built within countries, it's usually owned by the state. It's financed by the state, it's owned by the state, and it becomes a public thing. Well, in this case, they're now shifting it and making it so all of the public infrastructure that usually gets supplied by the state is now going to be supplied by banks and investment groups and private equity companies. And so they will own all of the public infrastructure. This is fascism. This is corporatism. This is exactly what that is. There's no getting away around it. There's no skirting around it. This is exactly what it is. So the states will facilitate the opportunities for the private investors to come in and invest and own it. This is part of the public-private partnership agenda, which get ready to start seeing more of that coming through. So this is part of the public-private partnership agenda, meaning public goods will no longer be publicly owned, but will now be market shares owned by private corporations. And so what this is this is still foreign aid allowing private corporations to go in and own things within other countries. They're already doing it here. This is about going out and doing it in other countries as well. You guys remember the term, you will own nothing? That's what this is. This is the backbone of you not owning anything. Welcome to it. Mr. Golden Boy fighting the fighting the globalists, restraining the evil. It's his administration that's doing it. Fun times. I'll give you an example if you guys don't believe me. I think it's always good to give an example. Of course, you can't go to the USAID website anymore, so I thank God for the Wayback Machine. It's always good stuff. Let's take a look at a wind farm in Kenya. Oh, you'll see where I'm going with this. So this is from the USAID website, as you can see. And this has to do with USAID Kenya wind farm. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of this wind farm. I should have written it down, but I can't remember it. Either way, this is one of those wind farms that is supposedly funded by the USAID group. Well, not exactly. BlackRock buys a stake in Kenyan wind farm. It's the same one. Yeah. So basically, what we have is we have the situation of the USAID program going in and funding a Kenyan wind farm, and then BlackRock coming in and buying it. Now, this is under the this happened under the Biden administration, and this is the very same thing that Trump called out as bad, that we can't be doing. But the problem is he just did it with the Panama Canal. He literally just did the exact same thing that he called Biden out for doing with the Panama Canal. This is the same situation. BlackRock buys the Panama Canal for Trump, just like BlackRock bought the Kenyan wind farm for Biden. It's the same thing. And so this is only advancing. So you're telling me that the USAID program that was doing all this stuff, it's gone now, even though we literally just had the same situation happen right here. Now, one of the things with this that's connected has to do with a company. Let's see if I can bring it up. Is the International Rescue Committee. Now, the IRC, I've talked about these people in the past. This was like a year and a half ago. It's been a while since I've talked about them. But the IRC is about going out and doing all these USAID type stuff. It's all about going into foreign places, helping people and countries and, all this type of stuff, quote unquote, helping. They're really not helping. But their job is to go in and do this. Well, the problem is one of the groups that's connected to the IRC is the USAID group. USAID is connected to the IRC. So here's what we got so far. We've got USAID. We've got the IRC. Who's involved with the IRC? Well, if we go to the IRC Board of Directors, Lawrence Steve Fink, founder and chairman and CEO of BlackRock. So we've got USAID, IRC, and BlackRock all working together to buy wind farms, to buy the Panama Canal, to buy all of these things that supposedly we're not supposed to be doing. And with that, we have Marco Rubio that just came out and basically confirmed all of this on March 10th. He says, after a 6-week review, we are officially canceling 83% of the programs at USAID. The 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve, and in some cases even harmed, the core national interests of the United States. basically he's saying is we're going to start taking all of that money from those programs, those contracts, and we're going to start shifting it to something that's going to benefit us. Not me and you. Benefit them. He's telling you. In consultation with Congress, we intend for the remaining 18% of programs we are keeping, approximately 1,000, to now be administered more effectively under the State Department. So it never went away. The USAID program never went away. So all the people that are sitting there seal clapping, all the condoms and stuff like that went to the thing, it's all gone. So yeah, the with the thing and the hairy legs in the pool, and it's all gone. Yeah. That's virtue signaling. Which, by the way, if you want to look into that, that's actually all lies as well, if you guys actually want to look into it. But it's virtual signaling. It's to make you get won over to their side so they can continue to do stuff just like this that you have to go and search for. This stuff that I'm going over right now isn't just there for you to see. That's not being displayed because nobody cares about that stuff. They just care about the virtue signaling stuff that gets passed around on social media. That's what people care about. That's why we have to be much more discerning of what's going on. That's why we have to look below the surface of what is being just floated on top. What's usually floating on the surface of stuff? It's the driftwood. It's the dead stuff. Nobody cares about that stuff. You got to start going below to see what's still alive and swimming around down there. It says, thank you, Doge. And our hardworking staff worked very hard, very long hours to achieve this overdue and historic reform. That's all it is. It's just reforming it. Just taking the pile of excrement that was already there and just molding it into something else. That's all that is. So if we jump over to here, how Doge U.S. foreign aid. So this is Joe Lonsdale. Now, if you guys don't know Joe Lonsdale, I've talked about him in the past. Joe Lonsdale is one of the founders of Palantir. Yes, Peter Thiel's group, Alex Karp's group, the two guys who are connected to the Bilderberg group, are connected to the data, AI, biometric system that's being installed in the United States, who has direct ties to the CIA, has direct ties to Israel, has direct ties to Russia, has direct ties to China, has direct ties to Australia. Yes, them, the very same. Joe Lonsdale is connected to that. Joe Lonsdale was also a part of the Sean Ryan podcast, where he went on there and was promoting all the technology and stuff with Sean Ryan, I believe, is a limited hangout guy who's there to, he's controlled, in my opinion. You guys can make up your mind for yourself on that, but I believe that Sean Ryan is in fact a limited hangout controlled group. And he had Joe Lonsdale on there, and Joe talked about how he had the solution to take out all of those drones and stuff that was flying about and everything. Well, Joe Lonsdale is connected to Trump's administration as well. He's one of the leading guys behind shifting from USAID to DFC. And if you look, this is straight from his Substack account. You can go and read this if you want to. But on January 10th, he posted this with a guy by the name of Ben Black. It says, dear readers, this is the first in a series of policy pieces I'll be releasing over the next few weeks. This piece about foreign aid was co-authored with my friend Ben Black, who is a private credit investor and foreign policy wonk too. Well, he's more than that. Because if we take a look at who Ben Black is, and this thing is all about basically what I just kind of explained to you already about what's going on. Who is Ben Black? Trump nominee and son of billionaire wants to repurpose USAID funds. They're telling you what they're doing. They are sitting there telling you we are installing fascism and a neo-feudalistic technocracy. And you're going to love it. And they are. People are gobbling it up. Because they don't care about what's going on under the surface. They only care about the fact that it's not the other guy. Well, it's not Kamala, right? So it's a win. So President Donald Trump picked Ben Black the son of billionaire Leon Black, to lead the little-known U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, the DFC that we just talked about. Yeah, he's leading that, making the pick after Black wrote a Substack post outlining his ideas for sourcing money to the Foreign Development Agency from the embattled U.S. Agency for International Development, which is the USAID program targeted by Trump's administration. That post is this one. What does it say? Trump nominated Black as the CEO of the Foreign Development Agency, which is a private corporation working in conjunction with the United States government. There's more of your fascist corporatism. On January 31st, selected Black to lead the multi-billion-dollar budget agency formed during Trump's first term, which is tasked by making investments in foreign countries. In a Substack essay published January 10th and co-authored with tech entrepreneur and Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale, Black criticized the U.S. agency, or the USAID, before the administration slashed its workforce and budget, saying much of the humanitarian agency's roughly $40 billion budget could be shifted to the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you. This is hilarious to me, guys, because it's right there. It's right there, but nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to see it. It's unbelievable. Well, again, as long as it's not Kamala, right? Black suggested that the Foreign Development Agency could invest in ports and mines in Greenland. Taking bets now. Is the Greenland deal going to get done through the DFC? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if something like that starts coming through something like this. That's all I'm saying. Which Trump has sought to purchase, saying American infrastructure, mining, and shipping companies could become involved in a partnership that increases American natural resources. Natural resources, energy. What is the technate's main system of monetary value? It's not money. It's not currency. It's energy. It's resources. And what has Trump been trying to buy up? He's trying to buy up the resources in Canada. He's trying to buy up the resources in Greenland. He's trying to buy up the resources with the Panama Canal. He's trying to buy up the resources in Ukraine with the minerals. He's trying to get all the resources. It's right there. It's right there. Here's the DFC. Go full screen on it. Priorities: infrastructure and critical minerals, energy, food security and agriculture, health, small businesses and financial services. Look at the first three. That's technate stuff. Got $49 billion invested across the globe already. It's all about money, financing, equity investments, political risk insurance, investment funds. I mean, this is exactly what it is. And if we take a look, board of directors, guess who sits at the board of directors? There's Marco Rubio, the same guy who said that the USAID program was getting funded or getting folded into the State Department. He leads this. Scott Bessent, of course, who is the George Soros guy who caused Black Wednesday over there and caused the collapse of the euro, or the British pound over there, who's now the Treasury Secretary by Trump. No surprises there. Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, U.S. Department of Commerce, right there. And, yep. It's just... I hope you guys are seeing this. I hope you guys are understanding what's going on. What is actually happening. What we are seeing unfold right in front of our eyes right now. This is all the little boring stuff that doesn't like to get discussed. This is all the little boring stuff that you have to actually go and find. This is the little boring stuff that doesn't look good, and you have to be willing to go and seek this stuff out. But right now, what we are seeing is the USAID is now getting shifted into a fascist group to help build up the technate, help build up the wealth transfer, and help build up corporate control over public and environmental assets all across the world at this point. It just keeps on getting better. That's not the only thing that's being done as far as this goes either. Because if we take a look at this, this is another aspect of the USAID program that's being shifted over as well, which the Philippines U.S. Defense Pact stays intact. And so we can see here that existing defense agreements between the allies, the Philippines, and the United States will stay intact under Trump. Manila's ambassador to the United States said on Monday. And if we scroll down, it says finance undersecretary. A Philippine finance official told the forum the government was exploring alternative sources of financing to ensure continuity of projects hit by freezing funds from the USAID development. Basically kept going. And so this is just more proof that the USAID program was not shut down. It was not stopped. It never ceased. It's just being shifted. This stuff doesn't change. How many times have we seen the DEI stuff change names? It shifted through like 3 different names because once people got upset about one version of it, they said, okay, we're going to get rid of it. And then they changed it to something else. Then they changed it to something else. It's the same thing with the ESG stuff. The ESG stuff is still alive today. It's still being done today. You just never hear about it anymore because it has shifted. It has changed names. It has shifted what it's doing. This stuff continues to just roll. It doesn't go away. It doesn't get destroyed. All of the workforce that Doge is getting rid of, the people are going away, but what's being installed is still going to keep everything going there. The USAID stuff, that didn't go away. It's just being molded and shifted to what's going on. All of these things that everybody is saying he's getting rid of and he's changing, whether it's through Doge, whether it's through the executive orders, whether it's through all of these things, it doesn't matter because it's all being shifted. Another one is the CBDC. We banned the CBDC. No, you didn't. You just got rid of the name of CBDC in order to bring in something that's worse called the stablecoin. Because if you read past the first paragraph of that executive order that says he's banning the CBDC, it says we're going to start pushing the agenda of the stablecoin, which is worse. Why is it worse? Because it's not the central bank that sends out the CBDC. The stablecoin is owned by a private group that distributes it to people. Why is this worse? Because if they don't like what you're doing, they can shut you off that day, that very minute, and not have to go through Congress, not have to go through the constitutional stuff, don't have to go through governmental red tape, don't have to worry about all the stuff if it was a CBDC. The stablecoin is a lot more dangerous. So they didn't get rid of the problem of the CBDC. They just shifted it to something that's much more dangerous. Everything that we're seeing right now with this, that is what is going on right now. They are lying to you. Don't let them do that. Don't accept it. Now, we can't stop this. There's nothing we can do to stop this. What I mean by don't let them do that to you, what I mean is don't let them deceive you with this. Don't sit there and seal clap for something that isn't what you think it is. Don't play the useful idiot. Because that's what you are to them if you follow along with this idea that they're presenting. Don't be the useful idiot. The Lord tells us don't be the useful idiot. Just doesn't say the useful idiot. He says do not be deceived. When you actively choose to be deceived by this stuff, when you actively choose to reject facts and evidence to comfort yourself with man, you are choosing to be deceived, and you are choosing to go directly against what the Lord has told us not to be.